But now, guys, we've got Double D here. It's time to go to Double D's sexy numbers. Quickly becoming one of my favorite segments on this show. Take it away, buddy. What do we got this week?
Okay, well, first, thank you for Thomas and Kat and Sonny. Good luck to you, and hopefully you get drafted. So, for a while now, I've been actually teasing the impossible scores that the Schmoedown will never see, and I am finally able to report it. But first, I need to break things down and explain a little high school algebra. Wait. Two things. You don't have to do any work. I have done it for you. Okay, it's literally like high school again. But the second thing is we have these impossible scores, and it's very painless. So let's get through it. Let's get to the first graph. What you're seeing is an XY coordinate, basically where on one axis, on the horizontal axis, you have the winners scores, and on the vertical axis, you have the loser scores. And you put that into a chart. This is the result. So some key points to notice is the two green dots that are up above this black line, which is the tie line that I'm calling. These are the fatal five-way scores from very early in the inner geekdom division. And if you notice, the winner scores are less than the loser scores, and that's because it acted like a free-for-all match where the lowest scoring competitor got eliminated from the round, and you just and it just evolved into that. So basically, if you took the sum of those points, you have a low scoring point compared to the loser. And another point that is further down in the middle, labeled 3410. That's another fatal five-way score from the Star Wars division, featuring Ken Knapsack and Jenny Nicholson. Jenny Nicholson was knocked out, but Ken Knapsack went into overtime, resulting in a 34-10, and just seems very unlikely in a normal setting. The other 2 points that are labeled in the upper right-hand corner, those are the two Iron Man matches featuring Ken Knapsack and Sam Whitworth, with the yellow dot in the Star Wars division, and the blue dot is the teams division with the Patriots and Above the Line. So basically, I eliminated all of the fatal five-ways, the triple threats, and all the special matches, and just stuck with normal 3-round, 5-round matches. And also, you just basically did not included the overtime scores and just defaulted to the tie score, which is the next graph that we'll see. Okay, move to the next graph. Okay, here's the next graph. So as you can see, there are no outliers. There's nothing that is out of consistent. There are a few that are high above, but as you'll see, this fits in very nicely to the other graph. The purple line is the knockout range, and as you can see, singles is on the lower end, and the teams is on the higher end of the spectrum. So basically, my deduction was that if all that the teams division could actually substitute for all the other divisions because they have the most points available. So let's look at all the round one possibilities in a 5-round team match. Next graph. So this is once again, this is a round one score from a team's match, starting with 0-0, and then going all the way up to the highest tie score would be obviously 18 and 18, with the bonus question being asked and all four competitors getting it. The lowest that a team could get is 0 points, and the highest for that is 18 points. So anywhere in between of those points is possible in round one, but you can't get 19 points. So that was my first clue that you can get impossible scores. So let's move on to round two. Okay, so as you can see, the blue section is still labeled as round one from the first graph, but keep in mind these scores can continue into round two. So these are all the round two possibilities, even though we've seen it in round one. The highest score in terms of a tie is 30-30. But if you look down, which is called the staircase, this is the simulation of of steals, and there's 6 of them in the team's match. And the highest, where if a team gets all the scores, all the steals with 2 points, they gain 42 points, whereas the other team, if their max total is 18 points. Now, that's what the orange section is. The gray section is I had to kind of deduce what to happen here, because if it's such a low score that a team can only score that 2 points or 3 points, and they have to get it, whereas the leading team has to lose 3 points in order to advance. So otherwise, it's considered a knockout. The yellow section is quote unquote knockout scores, but they're also impossible, because you're never going to get to a match high enough where it's 40-0, because the match will be called. So let's go on to the third round, which is the betting round. As you can see, again, these are all scores that are possible in round 3, with the highest being 33-33 for a tie. And obviously, we go down the staircase, and the highest for each team to get, if there's one team gets all the steals, it's 45-21. And we go down, we do hit a wall of 45 points, and we just go down all the way, and it's possible to get a score of 45-2, but that's considered a knockout at that point. And we start to see a little section that is mathematically impossible. It's too low for it to be called at that match. So that's where I started to see, okay, we have proof. So as we go on into the other match rounds, we'll see this little bit grow. And if we go to the next graph, we can see this. We go to the next one. That same corner obviously has been covered by gray dots, but if we go past it, it's become much larger. And this is all the possible scores for the speed round. The gray dots represent the knockouts, and the brown dots represent those scores that can go forward. Now, if you notice, there's a distinct line that goes down from 48-37, and obviously it goes. There's the point next to it. That's brown, so that would be the TKO line. And we can literally make a line from here all the way to 11-0, and that's our knockout range for the remaining round. And it's this area that's past this the gray dots. Those are impossible scores, because no matter what, you actually need to advance. You need to have, let's say you take the score of 48-37, and you go that to the final round. In actual practice, that's never going to happen. But the only way to get these scores that are onto the right side of that, that's the only way to get these scores. So let's move on to the next graph. Now, as you can see, this is the final, all the scores in the final round, where obviously the highest is 53 points, but the most points that a team could earn in a 5-round match is 55 points. So let's put this all together with the real world scores and all the possible scores. So the next graph will show that, and it fits in beautifully. That all of these scores are possible, but we do have these missing pieces that are impossible. So a score of 54-54, that's impossible unless you count overtime. So yeah, we can go back to me now. We're done with the graphs. So yeah, those scores are impossible unless you count overtime, but I don't. That's factored into the tie score, because obviously I only counted 5 rounds max. And yeah, that's so all these pictures will be available on my Twitter later in the day. And that will conclude my sexy numbers segment. Jay, what did you think of it?
I'm still in that fuzzy area where I see a bunch of dots and numbers and I don't really understand. I'm also a little well, I'm not a little, I am really colorblind. So like there was one of them, I was like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, I think those are orange, but is there like a green strip going through there? I couldn't tell, but that's me.
Well, any color, if you see a dot, that means it's possible. I'll say that. If you see a dot, it's possible. But yeah, those are all for each individual round.
It's more interesting for me being able to hear what you're saying as I'm looking at it. I'm trying to process everything. I swear to you, by the end of this season, I'm going to get a better grasp on how the numbers work. It just was never my strong suit. Yeah. But right
now, I'm like, I know I was going to lose your attention, but that's why I brought you back, because it's very simple. But all you have to realize is that the horizontal line is the winner score, the vertical line is the loser score, and you just go to that point where the score would be. So if you have a person who scored 3 points and a person who scored 2 points, you go to that area. That's your score. That's all it is.
Cool. You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.